Hello, this is John, Vintage Fisher. Well, today I got something this is my wheelhouse right here. I love these old pins. This is a 714. They call it the Ultra Sport Spin Fisher. It's a complete reel. It's got issues. It's been dropped. It's got a dent in the rotor right there, which I think I can fix it. It's not going to be pretty, but I can fix it. It's got a lot of paint rubbed off of it. The bell spring is broke. I've got bell springs in stock, but here's what's nice about this reel. Still got the knob, and anybody that collects these old Penn spin fishers knows these knobs are like unobtainium. I mean, seriously, if you can find one that's not cracked and broke, the fact that this one was dropped and it didn't break the knob or the handle is pretty impressive. This reel is never going to look good sitting on a shelf, but where it's going to be good at is on a rod fishing, and that's what I'm going to do with it. I can tell you right now, the drag is smoked on it. Look at that. It's, whoo, yeah. Somebody had that drag singing on that thing. These reels are tough. So tough. That's about all there is to the drag system. So you've got your Teflon washer, metal washer, spring washer, and cap or adjuster. Then you've got your small washer that goes between there and the shaft. Handle back spins. You will have a washer, or you should have a washer up under there. Here's how you fold the handle. You take it loose right there. There should be a washer up under here. There is not. So it's missing that. We'll find one of those. I'm sure I've got some of my parts. Actually, it might. It's not on there. So over here, you got, it's a one screw cap removal or cover removal. I may have a rotor for this reel. I kind of doubt it. Yeah, somebody needs to step away from the grease. Okay. Let's see, there's a screw right here that holds your axle shaft. Oh, and I forgot, this is a quick takedown on your spool. So there's the other part of the spool. Let's take this screw out right here. Screw, and then the shaft comes out. Now, main gear and cross line all comes out together. And I'm going to clean that together. You don't have to take that apart. You can. I'm going to clean it together. Now let's take the rotor off. This is my wheelhouse here, folks. I've worked on so many of these things. I think I could do it in my sleep. Probably do it in my sleep. Do it. Okay. Got a washer. It's basically a lock. And then the nut. And we'll go into the rotor in just a second. Over here, you got two screws. And Penn gives you a bearing. They were giving you a bearing back in the 60s. That's what set Penn apart from so many of the cheaper stuff coming out of other areas. Penn and Shakespeare, the Shakespeare Royal Maroon series, the Damn Quicks. Yeah, they got right way back in the day. They were giving you one bearing, and it was the main bearing you need right here on the. Now see, okay, so it's stuck. That bearing's stuck in there. It's not, the bearing's not bad. It's just they tend to stick. So you see how that bearing is. There's no way to get hold of it. You don't want to pry on it back here. I'm putting the nut back on there, okay? And I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to gently Just give it a little pry. Don't try to kill it with nothing. If you run out of room to pry, you can take something and put in there and pry against it, like that, and then you can take the whole thing out. There it is. Sometimes these bearings will come off and sometimes they won't. There you go. That bearing is good. That's it. And we'll go ahead and take this out, but I'm not going to take this. Well, pretty bad shape. Let's see here. All right, there's a spring under there, so don't let it fly off on you. There's got a screw in it. Okay. That screw out. Then your anti-reverse dog come out. Spring comes out. Spring goes in just like I pulled it out of there. Flip around, take this screw out. Just like that. Take the lever off. Remember how the lever was? It's like this, with the knob pointed in. There's a Teflon washer. That's a spacer, actually. Pop this through. There's a spring on that. And then your Teflon spacer can come out the front. If I can get it to do it. I'm just taking something and pushing it out, just like that. There's that. Now clean up like brand new. There's the whole housing. There's no shims. There's supposed to be a washer out there. We'll find one of those. Now, this, I'll take the nut off over here. Spring's gone. Find one. Got one somewhere in my stored parts. That off. Keep all these parts together here. This is just slightly bent. I'll work on that when I get it back together. The roller, which is good, it's free. Take that off. Okay, no spring on this side. Spring's over here and it's non-existent. Take this nut off, or screw off. And over here, remember how these screws go. One of them's going to have it's going to be larger and have a recess in it for the top of the spring. It's got one on the spring side has a recess in it. And there is what's left of your spring. There's part of it, and then the rest of it is down in there. Get it out. We got springs. It still has the bumper, so we're good there. This thing is, I think I can clean it up without taking it all the way off. So we'll just do that. Got something stuffed in there. I'm not sure what the hell that is. Oh yeah, it's got, oh, never seen nothing like that. It's got a big chunk of piece of wood or something stuck in it. I don't know what in the world kind of atrocities happened to that thing, but it's a piece of wood. Yeah, we're good there now. It wasn't moving. Now it's moving. Now you can see where it's bent right there. Somebody dropped the reel. So what I'm going to do here is, I don't have any tape here, but I'll get some tape. I'll put some tape on here so I don't mar this anymore than it already is. And I'll take my adjustable wrench and just work that dent out of there. We'll do that when we go put the reel back together. Some electrical tape right here will protect that side of it. I'm not too worried about the inside. It's going to be good. Nice reel. It's all there. Clean this mess off here so the parts washer can do its job a little easier. See, it's just covered in stuff. Somebody was happy with the grease on this reel. Look at that. So we'll go around and scrape this off. This is a brass gear, so don't go gouging on it. Bronze, I should say. Yeah, I may end up having to take that screw out of there and just clean that really good, so let's do that. And that's dirt on it now. See all this right here? But the emblem's still there, and that's good. That's a good thing. You don't normally see the emblem still on them. Somebody used this reel, and they really liked this reel. They did take good care of it until they dropped it. And that was its demise, but not bad at all. Get all that down in there. They definitely put the grease to it. Hope y'all can hear me over this equipment running. I apologize. I got a lot going on in the shop today. It's going to clean up like brand new. I mean, the paint's patinaed on it or whatever, but it's going to be fine. Let's take this screw out right here. We're going to go ahead and clean this really good. I'm going to use this reel, I think. I only have a couple of 714s, and they're both too nice to be beating around the creek bank with, so this might be a good prospect. There we go. Clean it up. Be like brand new. I'll be back. Hello, this is John. I'm back with this kind of rough, but very fishable 714. I got it cleaned up. I got some parts in for it. I got a, let's see here. It's been a few days since I worked on this reel. I've been busy with running around here and there with life. I've got a bell spring. Same bell spring 716 takes. And I got a new bearing, which is also the same bearing that several Penn reels take. So, not that the old bearing was all that bad. Since I'm going to fish with this thing, because I currently don't have a 714 that's not beat up. And I tend to fish with the vintage reels that are beat up. If it's pretty enough to sit on a shelf, it's going to sit on a shelf. I don't use it out on the creek. I fall all the time in those creeks fishing, and Yeah, I tear some reels up doing that. So slip on those old slick rocks, you know. So here it is. I gotta fix this bent spool. I don't know if you can really see it. It might show up more pronounced when I put the nice round uh, spool in there, but see it's hitting the spool when it turns. And somebody's gone in there and ground a little bit of that spool out or rotor out. I'm not sure what's up with that, but we're gonna pound that dent back out of there. See how we're gonna do that. My handy block here. I tell you what, I get more use out of that thing. And somewhere here in my pile of tools, did with it. Boy, search is on. Here it is. This is a Delrin or a nylon punch, basically. And I'm going to find that little dent, put it right there, and I'm going to take my hammer and I'm going to try to work that dent out of there. I'm going to do a little body and fender work here, folks. It's got to come out of there. It's not, this reel will not work with that dent. Okay. I may have to get a heavier hammer, which I think is my next step. And of course, because I'm moving, I do not have a heavier hammer. So I don't have anything here. We're just going to go with what's in my hand here. Heavier hammer will make real quick work out of this. And I'm using something soft because I really don't want to tear the paint up any worse than it already is on this reel. And it is coming out. You can see it's a couple whacks of the hammer. Strategically placed Delrin punch. We're going to get it fixed. Somebody fell with this reel, more than likely. Getting there. Just like anything else, when you work with metal, you got to kind of work your way slowly. You don't want to take too much at one time. I'm no body and fender man, but if you are, you'll appreciate the fact that you don't. One whack with a hammer ain't gonna fix a body problem most of the time. I've noticed my dehumidifier is cut off. I always forget to leave stuff on. Compressor, dehumidifier, whatever. That's looking pretty good. Something else you can do is a small sandbag and put it on a sandbag and work it just like a piece of metal, you know, for a car, fender for a motorcycle or whatever. Work it like that. There's no rules. Do what you gotta do to fix it. I'm gonna try that. It's still got just a little bit of a bend to it. Boy, it's a lot better than it was. I think one more good whack with it might do it. Might use something just a little more focused on it, you know, something that I can put into that actual dent right there. Force the hammer just a little bit more. There, she's getting there now. I think that'll do it. We'll see when we get it together. Stuff's falling down everywhere here. Okay, well, it's an interesting day here. All my stuff is falling down. Okay, interesting. All right. So my house is for sale, as most of you know, and from previous videos, and I do have a contract on it, but I'm still showing it because it's a contingency contract. So people are coming and going, and I'm trying to keep my workbench covered up. This will probably be the last week that I work here. I've got room at my new house now for the workbench. I just got to find time to move it all, you know. It's been a busy few weeks, to say the least. You'll get to see a new well, I mean, I don't know how much you'll actually see because I don't really pan out my camera too much to the area I work in, but I'm going to miss this house. Took care of my family for years. My kids are all grown now. My girlfriend owned her house, and I owned this house, and this house is honestly just too big for two people, you know, and uh, time to downsize, get ready for retirement, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to prepare to ride off into the sunset, as they say. Uh, Best advice I can give a young person is to buy a house. Now, I know that's very, very, very difficult in today's economy. Affordable housing is that's it's an oxymoron. There is no such thing. You either have the money to live in a nice place, or you're not living in a nice place. There's just no way to afford it any other way. So let's start out with building a rotor back. I got a brand new bell spring for it. I have bell springs somewhere, but for the life of me, I can't find any of my parts. I have scoured my house and my storage facility for my spare parts, and I have no idea where they're at. So I can find everything but my 716, 714, okay, so when you put this together, you got one screw that has a groove cut in the bottom of it, one doesn't. It's a bigger head. It's the one that holds this bell arm on. Setting this bell spring on these old spin fishers is, yeah, you gotta have a little bit of hand strength there. Not gonna lie. I'm just gonna kind of pack some grease down in there. Wipe off the excess in just a second. Back to what I was saying, if you're a young person and you can afford the house, buy that house. Make all the payments you can, and build that equity. That equity's there if you get in trouble or if you want to improve the property. Man, I tell you what, it's priceless. Yeah, let's get best decision I made as a 22-year-old was to buy a house. It was scary. It was a scary thing, but I did it. All right, we're going to put a little bit of grease in there. Anything that's not going to be used around sand, I'll put grease out here on the rotors. If you go use it around sand, that's a bad idea. It's going to get sand from the beach or riverbank or whatever up in it, and it's not a good thing. Okay. Got that set. Give this a little oil. The roller on the Penn series will go either way. It doesn't have to. Some reels it has to go a certain way, but you'll realize that as you tear into one. And then that will go There, just a little dab of grease on those threads. I don't know where I'm picking up all these little bits and pieces of something on my work, but I guess when I was hammering on that part, it stirred everything up over here. Different adjustable wrench. I found a small one when I was moving. This one my dad gave me years ago, and he's been gone since 2003, so that's pretty old. My dad would love these videos. He was a tinkerer too. I was the fishing reel repair guy in the family, trust me. What I'm doing here is just tightening this up and making sure that that roller still turns after I get that tight. And it should fire pretty good. It feels a little stiff. And I think what it is this bell spring is bent. There we go. See, it was all out of line. Watch this. That's how it should fire right there. So we're good. That's a good thing. Rotor's built. Let's build a gearbox. We've got a brand new bearing here. Now this bearing can go on either way. It's shielded on both sides. I grease the pocket that the bearing goes in. Because I tell you what, I have fought with some of these spin fishers, Damn Quicks, a few others, where you couldn't get the bearing out of it. It was just so stuck. I had to use a slide hammer to get them out of some of them. Not this is going to be using salt water, but you know, I've tried to prepare the reels that I build for the very worst conditions that they may see. And see, that bearing's a little tight, and there's a trick to that. You can take a socket that will not hit your shaft and mess your threads up. Put that socket on there, and then take your hammer and just tap it in place. And that one's tight. That's a brand new bearing, so there it is. Now the retainer, you've got the trip right here. Honestly, will only go one way. It goes in like that. It will only go in there one way. And then your retainer, get some grease on. I didn't want to get grease in that bearing, so let me do that. You got the countersunk holes will go up for your screws to go into. This is the bail trip. I'll show you how it works here in just a second. Okay, wipe off the excess grease squeezing out of there. So when the bail is thrown or cast, you got this little lever here that clips back, and so when it rolls around, when it catches that, not gonna do it right now because everything's not tight. I may have that in upside down. Hold on a second. Hey, even the guy that's built 100 of them that makes mistakes sometimes. Hold your horses. It shouldn't go upside down, but you know, I think that's what it is. Well, I had it in there right. Well, we'll see what's going on with it once we get it back together. How about that? That's got to be right. That's the only way it will go. I've made some mistake with it or something, but it's got to be the way it goes. It may just be because everything's not tight yet. So anyway, I've got people, or of course, realtors are bringing people through here, and there's kids and stuff with them, and this is a very family oriented neighborhood here, and we got pools and all that cool stuff. So I try to keep everything covered up on the bench just so it doesn't get little, curious hands don't get playing around with stuff. So, and I'm noticing that I'm missing a part. I sure am. I'm missing a part, and it was in the parts washer. So hang on just a second. I may have to order a part if I've lost it. Hang on. I'm gonna freeze the video. Okay, I'm back. I found it. It was still in the parts washer. So you've got this little bushing that has to go in right here. Okay. And then your eccentric goes in this. And you got to set that bell spring on the eccentric, which sometimes can be a pain. Once you get the bell spring set in there, then you got to put the handle, the eccentric lever. I put it upside down and get it set on the eccentric, and I'll get it halfway in between and hold it with my fingers. Somewhere about right there. Shoot. All right. For some reason, it doesn't want to fit on there. I don't know why. Aim off. Got to go back on. There we go. And you put your screw in there. It's fighting me all. This reel's fighting me all the way here. Parts missing. Parts jumping around everywhere. See there, and your knob turns in towards the housing like that. Okay. Your spring, here's what it looks like. On the 714, let me get a pair of pliers where I can kind of hold it for you at the camera. Spring will go in like that with a long arm up towards the top of the housing. And the little hook, the 90-degree hook going up. We'll set it in there and push it down. And there's a little ledge it sits on in there, little step. And your dog goes in like this. It looks like it would go either way, but it will only go one way. And you've got to hook that spring I'm going to show you what it looks like here as soon as I can get my big fingers out of the way and show you. Okay. And there's a little screw. Goes in there. I'm going to show you how it goes here in just a second. Really fighting me here, actually. Okay. So the spring puts tension down on the dog. So when you throw the eccentric into the non-anti-reverse position, the dog throws up. But when you put it the other way, it kicks down and it catches that cog on the back of this thing. And I'm a little concerned about this reel because that appears to be worn out. The teeth. We're going to see if it's going to be okay, but and you can't get this gear. I'm just gonna tell you, you can't get it. So this anti-reverse may not work on this reel. I noticed that when I took it apart, I was like, no, as when you deal with these things on day to day, you recognize things that might be a problem. So to put it together, you want to put the anti-reverse haul into non-anti-reverse. I do not grease the anti-reverse cog. I don't do it. I put a little bit of oil on this shaft. I don't put grease on that shaft. It's bushing the steel. We're gonna go ahead and put the handle on. I can no longer get the handle washer. So I found a washer in my stash of stuff that should be okay. That handle washer is no longer available from Penn. So I've got one in my parts, but I don't know where any of my parts are. So I'm gonna take the handle and put it on there. It's got you crank it forward. This will hold it all together. Is the reason why I'm doing this. Okay. There's your gearbox. You can go ahead and grease the heck out of it. If for some reason that washer's too thick, you'll know it pretty quick. It won't. The reel won't. Once you tighten that handle down, it's not going to work. I'm just greasing the heck out of it. I did not put grease on the gear before I put it in there. So we're going to make up for that. All right. Now you got this brass bushing goes on, and then your crosswind, and then your screw that holds all that together. Sometimes you got to kind of kick that thing around to get it to line up. There's two screws that are the same thread size. One of them goes to the cover. It doesn't have any steps or anything in it, and it's chrome. This one has a boss or a step in it. You'll know pretty quick. All right, let's go ahead and put the rotor on it. Let's see how this is going to work out. Here's your key washer that goes in there. You see how it's not lined up now. If you rotate the spool around and not rotate the shaft, it will set into place. See how it's keyed? And then put your nut in there. Tighten that down. And for some reason, that's not tripping. So wait a minute. Hold on, John. We got everything out of line here. Let's get it all together. See what's going on with it. All right, you got your axle shaft that goes in, a little bit of oil on that. Something else to look for on these reels is this axle shaft this is a quick release spool, and you'll have 3 little ears on here, and these break. And if they're broke, you're done. You might find a used one somewhere, but you won't find a new one. Penn no longer makes the shaft for this thing. I think the 7/16s, you can use the upgraded shaft that fits I want to say it's the 420 or 4200 SS, but don't hold me to that. But they do have an upgraded shaft for that model, and you could make that work. Okay, then you got a little screw that's also a pin that goes in there. When I tried to turn a minute ago, it locked up, and that's because I didn't have the axle shaft. The cross wind got locked up. So let's try it now. And see, it's not throwing the bell. I don't know why it's not throwing the bell. It's it hits it, but it's not tripping it. All right, we're going to take it back apart, see what's going on. So to get it back apart, pretty simple. Take this pin out. I may have put that trip in there backwards. Who knows? I didn't think there was any way to get that wrong, to be honest with you. I've never got one wrong before, anyhow. The only other thing it could be is if that for some reason that's just not traveling far enough. That can't be wore out. All right, something right here then. That's not worn. So let's just see where the problem is. It was throwing before I took it apart. It just, the bell spring was messed up. Broken. See what we can do with it. Maybe I got it in here backwards. That just doesn't look right at all. Huh. Very, very odd. I've done a bunch of these. I've never seen one quite like this. Let's see what happens if I put it in there like this. That's not going to work right. Not how it goes. So, okay, so none of the parts are wore out, but it's not working. That's odd. Nothing's wore out about this reel. Well, I'm going to improvise. I'm going to try to space that out just a little bit where it'll get better contact. Basically, we'll cut a little shim, put down in there. I have a piece of old drag washer. Like I said, I intend to use this reel, so I want to fix it. I've cut a little bitty piece of drag washer and we'll stuff down in that hole. Put it back together. That pushes it out a little further. It's almost like that trip is not right for this reel, but it is. It's the only part that will go in this reel. And it's brand new. Looks to me, I don't see any wear to it. You know, I get in series like the last 2-3 reels I've had have been a struggle. It's just like you're trying to reinvent the wheel on some of these things. Why? Parts should be 100% interchangeable on fishing reels. They're not one-off. They're not custom. I'm complaining, I guess, but I don't normally have these problems, especially out of Penn. Oh, me. Come on now. Yeah, I can't test it until I put the shaft back in it. Okay. Doesn't want to line up. Lord have mercy. Get in there. Ouch. God. Kidding me. Turns good and smooth. Let's see if the anti-reverse seems to be working. All right, there we go. It's firing now. So you just shimming that little trip out far enough to catch the lever. It was all it took. I don't know. You tell me. Nothing was wore out, so let's put the cover back on it. Kind of unusual to find these covers still have the emblem on it. This reel was, it was beat up. It's been used, but it wasn't abused. It was just used. It was dropped. That's not good, but that may not have been the owner who did that. It could have been somebody else. I bought this at auction, so. Anti-reverse seems to be working okay. I'm a little concerned about it, but it's fine. Now let's put the spool back on it and see if it's going to line up. So your spool's your quick release there, and I've already oiled the heck out of this thing. So let's put Teflon in there. I do a drop of oil on Teflon bushings. This will go in. Then you've got your big Teflon bushing. I'll do a little drop of oil in here. Look, I'm only going to be running a 6-pound test on this. It means I only need about 2 pounds of drag, if that. You got your Teflon washer, steel washer, spring washer, and then a little grease in your adjuster or cap cover. Oh yeah, that's going to be a good reel for bass. All right, spool's not hitting the rotor anymore. I got that problem fixed. I got the trip fixed. I got a nice little 714 to put on a rod. I already got a rod for it. Look at that, folks. All right, the very last thing I'm going to do, there's a screw right here on the shaft. That is an oil hole. That screw stops up an oil hole, so you want to take that off, and you'll fill that full of oil. Fill it till it runs out. Crank it around and fill it again. And then on your handle paddle, put some oil in there. You can see there's some old gunk coming out of it. I'm going to wipe it all down good here in just a second. You put that screw back in there. That keeps dirt and stuff out of that shaft. And don't lose that screw, because you want to keep that oil port plugged up. Let's clean it up just a little bit. I got greasy hand prints all over this thing. Here we go, folks. A 714 Penn 714 Ultra Sport is what Penn calls it. It's a medium. Nah, let's just say it's a light reel. It's not even a medium light. It's a light reel. The 716 would be an ultra light. Make sure the handle's good and tight. That shim I put in there is working perfect. There's no slop in the handle. I'm just going to leave it. It's working. So there it is. It was a struggle, but it's fixed. So like I was saying, I'm in the process of moving. I appreciate everybody watching the channel. I've had a lot of really good feedback on the channel, and I'm here to help people. You know, if you've got a 714 and you don't know how to get it back together, or you don't know what's wrong with it, it's not doing something, hopefully this video will help you. And, you know, just look through my library. I'm adding different reels. I don't do every little kind of reel. I just don't. I stick with the main vintage stuff, you know, the stuff that most people really like and love. I venture off every once in a while, but not a lot. But this channel is about doing the stuff that these legendary reels that are still going, you know. And, can you imagine the fish this thing's caught? I mean, look, it's got some patina. Man, I'd love to hear its stories. But thanks for watching. Please like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel. And I want to keep bringing you content. And I'm going to keep bringing you content. I don't do this for the money. I'm not monetized. I could care less about being monetized. It helps if you subscribe, because it gets, you know, it kind of gets my channel out there to other people. The more people subscribe, more people see it. And I want to help people. And so just please, you know, subscribe to the channel. And I'll have videos coming out every Wednesday and every Saturday. I'm scheduled out about 6 weeks right now. So there'll be, like, I'm doing this reel right now. It'll be probably a month away before it comes out. So, you know, I'm getting ahead of the game. And so if I'm busy on a weekend and can't get to a reel, then it's already one coming up. So anyway, thanks for watching. This is John, the Vintage Fisherman. I'll catch you on the next reel.